Did the Buccaneers get screwed last night? I really think that this is honestly a conversation that we might need to have. Tampa Bay lost the Atlanta Falcons 29-28, came down to a game-winning field goal for the Atlanta Falcons. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 5 minutes left in the game. They were up 28-20. There was a play on 2nd and 10 where the Atlanta Falcons drove down. I believe it was Darnell Mooney. He fumbled the football, and there was, I think, 11 Tampa Bay Buccaneers jumping on the fumble compared to one Atlanta Falcon. It looked like it was a clear recovery. They didn't even review the play. They just said recovered by the offense, first down. And no one challenged it. Insane. So, okay, you could obviously point at Todd Bowles and say, what are you doing here, man? But at the same point, like, why was this not even a thing? Before we get into this and talk about this game, because obviously this game was great. Thursday night, honestly, Thursday night football showdown. But were the Buccaneers screwed?
You know, when I watched it back, I hate to say it, but yeah, they were. That was a tough look. I think the worst part of it all was the ref on 133. I apologize. I don't know his name. Gets in there in the middle of a huddle. He just looks confused. He literally looked like unsure of, like, am I going to point this way? Am I going to point this way? And that should not be the case. Like,
is he waiting for the B-dubs buzzer? He's probably waiting for the B-dubs buzzer. Send this thing to overtime.
It's like, there should not be that much confusion. Like, I don't understand what's going on. So, yeah, to short answer here, yes, the Bucs were screwed. I don't know how, especially up 8 at that point. That was a game that they should have had at least a different ending. And I'm sure Todd Bowles, you mentioned the challenge situation. He was pretty frustrated in his post-game presser. Can't blame him. But I mean, the other side of this coin is, like, Baker was sacked 5 times. So
pretty frustrated is an understatement. Todd Bowles said 7 F-bombs in his post-game conference, in his post-game presser. He did not care about the fines. He didn't care about any of that stuff. I mean, that's right up there with, like, some of the funniest pressers after a game, going with, like, playoffs, going with practice, going with, we play to win the game. Like, those are some good ones. The 7 F-bombs from Todd Bowles after a Thursday night football game, like, you're sitting for 3 hours listening to good old-fashioned Al Michaels, and all of a sudden you go switch over to the post-game and you get Todd Bowles throwing 7 F-bombs. Like, it was a little outrageous. But, I mean, the Tampa Bay Bucs, they were pissed. There was a report that Mike Evans left the field before the game was even over. He was so upset. You could see he was visibly frustrated on the sideline when Atlanta was driving down for the game-winning field goal. But you're right. Obviously, they came back and scored 9 unanswered points to take over the game. That touchdown where the fumble occurred, they missed a 2-point conversion, but they still lined themselves up for a game-winning drive for that field goal. You could say the Tampa Bay Bucs got screwed, but at the same point, if you're the Atlanta Falcons or you're a Falcons fan, you're listening to this, you're going to say, well, they couldn't stop us for 2 drives. We stopped them on the final drive, made them punt and get the ball back. Atlanta obviously did a good job winning this game. Kirk Cousins, let's talk about Kirk Cousins for a minute. Obviously, Michael Penix being out, being injured, Cousins taking over for the rest of the season. That was vintage Kirk Cousins last night. 30 for 44, 373, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, only sacked 1 time. Are we looking at maybe a resurrection of, 37, 38-year-old Kirk Cousins about potentially being another quarterback in the league, a QB1 in the league next year? Or maybe we should pump our brakes?
Honestly, any other day, I'd probably say yes. Like, we're looking at a resurrection. We're looking at maybe this is like what Phillip Rivers and like this could be the new age, like just returning somehow. But it seems like maybe this is just a Bucs thing because Kirk Cousins against the Bucs, he sent me a stat. He's like got some unbelievable percentage as far as the Bucs in the last few games against them, and did only get sacked once, but 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I believe going into this game was something like 10 touchdowns to 1 interception or something ridiculous. I hate to be that guy, but I think it was just the Bucs. I think that Kirk has found the answer, and that was great for them to get to their 5th win. But man, I don't know if I could give him more than that. I will say this though, really quick, as far as the Mike Evans thing, 273 on the year in comparison to 1,000 yards for the last 10 seasons. There's going to be some frustration there, and Tampa falls to 7-7. Atlanta. The last thing I want to get in here is just that I can't believe with all the talent they have, they're 5-9. Like we saw last night, basically Kyle Pitts is welcome to the NFL game, which
Yeah, the year he's about to be a free agent. Yeah, he finally has like probably the game that fantasy owners and people who have like drafted Kyle Pitts in the first round for years finally happened. And I bet people still had him on his bench because they weren't preparing for him in playoffs to actually step up and do anything. So yeah, insane. 11 receptions, 166 and 3 touchdowns. He had 12 targets. This was easily Kyle Pitts' best game. I mean, that's JSN numbers, and you're doing that as a tight end with Kirk Cousins. That's such impressive numbers that Kyle Pitts does here. He's about to be a free agent at the end of the year. Kirk Cousins, obviously, on a big contract. They're going to be looking to move him at some point. I think this is the best case scenario for the Falcons for these players to step up. I mean, obviously, Kyle Pitts, not a great thing, but maybe you can get a comp pick from him. I don't know if he's going to be an Atlanta Falcon next year. Kirk Cousins, if you can try and trade him, that's obviously a great feeling as well. But overall, man, the Falcons, you're right. I mean, this is a team that I thought the only reason they were so bad last year is the fact they couldn't get to the quarterback. Last year, they were 31st, I believe, in the league in sack rate. They're 4th this season, and they're still 5-9.
Wow. Excuse me. I just choked. That's the NFC
That
South
was just
part.
so good. Was just so good. Yeah.
That was crazy. This NFC South, though, I mean, can you blame the Bucs for being that upset? They're in second now with 7-7 as their record. The Panthers at 7-6. Like, this division is extremely close, despite them being 500, as it is every single year. For years now, I have dogged on the NFC South because you're basically going to be in it with an 8-win record come the end of the season. If you had 8 wins right now, you'd be at first in the NFC South. So as far as like the losing team goes, because we're focusing a little bit on Atlanta, and I it's a fun team to root for. Bijan, Kyle Pitts, and Kirk Cousins, and obviously I'm a huge fan of Michael Penix. But this Bucs team, like, you can't blame them for being upset. They're very much in this race to win the division and put themselves at least in the playoffs. And once you get into the dance, guess what? Everyone's 0-0.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Heading into this weekend now, the Carolina Panthers currently are first place in the NFC North. And you're right about this division. This division just seems so different. It feels like it's a different tier than NFL football. My wife actually made a joke. We were watching the game together, and she's like, this looked like a college game to me. That's like, this is hilarious. It's hilarious because I feel the same way about NFC South football. I felt like that for a while. It doesn't feel the same compared to watching, like, I don't know, the Patriots or the Niners or something like that. It just doesn't feel like it's in the same tier of football. Tell me if I'm wrong.
No, actually, that's maybe the best point you've ever made on this show. It really is. Like, it's like somehow a different universe inside of the NFL. I don't know. It's like a step between college football and the pros. I've never heard a better way to put it. That is hilarious. Yes.
NFC South is the NFL purgatory. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yes.
The Buccaneers finish off their season. They got 3 games left at Carolina, at Miami, and then they finish the season in Tampa against Carolina. They have Carolina twice. So the NFC South is going to be determined in the next, obviously 3 games for sure, but 2 of them are going to be against the 2 teams that are battling for the division. That is cool.
Tampa will still control their destiny then, right?
You would assume so. Yeah, you would absolutely assume so. So, Todd Bowles says inexcusable loss, and he said he blamed the players. He said sometimes the players have to step up, kind of threw his players under the bus a little bit. Will that mean that the Bucs are just going to completely fall off, let the Panthers take this over, or will they step up and shine? If that doesn't happen, if the Bucs fall out of the playoffs, and this is maybe the last breath, the last gas from Todd Bowles trying to get his team to rev up, if the Bucs miss the playoff, I have a feeling Todd Bowles will no longer be the head coach after this season. I think that's fair to say.
I agree. I think his name's been called as far as the hot seat conversation for a while now. And I think that, missing the playoff, even if they make the playoff and lose in the first round, I think that'll be a conversation for Tampa. I don't know if it's the right play or not, to be completely honest. It kind of reminds me of like the Matt Campbell conversation a little bit. It's not the same, but like Iowa State has seen success under Matt Campbell, but we haven't really gotten over that hump. It feels like Tampa Bay is like found this great culture and this great like identity and like all of this, with Baker coming in and being his guy and Mike Evans and like everything that they're all about, but like they're not really getting a whole lot done. They're a fun team and they're really fun to root for, and it feels like they've got something going, but we haven't really seen it. And I feel like that's where we're at right now. If they can get in, win a first round game, get an upset, like I'm sure Todd Bowles will stick around and build this team up a little bit more. But otherwise, I agree with you. I think it is probably about time, and I wonder what the future of the Bucs would look like.